AI is interesting because there's a lot of talk about it in the community and lots of feelings that I like.
You think?
Feelings.
Welcome to the Two Authors Podcast, an entertaining chat show hosted by best-selling mystery and thriller authors Douglas Pratt and Nicholas Harvey, in lively, humorous and informative conversation with distinguished guests who share their thoughts and experience about forging a successful author career.
Welcome to this week's show, brought to you by our fabulous and fantastic friends at Vellum, the best formatting solution available. And thank you to our new Patreon supporters. A big shout out to Scott Urbach, Eric Warren, and Eric Ristow. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate your support.
This week, we're about to have a fascinating chat with a guy by the name of Michael Evans, which many people in the author world know that name from other softwares he's been involved with. But his latest project is Author Sidekick, and his very latest project is really cool. It's called Creatorwood. So let's talk to him.
Welcome to the show, Michael Evans. It's great to have you here.
Great to be here.
Yeah, so can you give us a quick overview of what Author Sidekick provides for authors?
Yeah, Author Sidekick is essentially a newsletter that helps authors better market their books and succeed in the future of publishing. I come out with a weekly newsletter just for free, and I have also a weekly podcast.
So how did Author Sidekick originally come about, and how long has it been available?
Yeah, so Author Sidekick came about in February. I quit my job working for Mr. Beast. I was doing data and analytics there to help grow the channel and grow the streaming show. I think through that experience, I had just gotten really obsessed with this sort of growth, but through different ways than I think what authors traditionally think about. And whether it's like growth hacking or building like growth systems, like that's what we did at Mr. Beast. And his channel grows 10 million subscribers a month.
Growing as an author is often difficult. Like we talk about this all the time. Scaling anything can be a challenge. So, what's your like free hacks that you're going to throw out to our listeners that says, hey, this is a good way to grow?
Yeah, I mean, part of it's simplifying the whole process. And I'll do that right now because there was only one goal at Mr. Beast, which was to get as much views as possible, which your goal might be to get as much sales, like book sales, as possible. That's a pretty analogous goal. So if you reverse engineer how to achieve that goal, there's actually like two very obvious like inputs and outputs. So like the core input is like your production process. And we kind of viewed it like almost like a content factory. And that's not in terms of number of output, mind you. It was optimized for virality. So we actually produced much less videos than you'd think. It was a team of like 400 people making maybe like 2 videos a month, right? So it's not about like raw sheer quantity, but it's about like input of content, because that's what really mostly drove virality in the company. It was creating viral content. And then the other kind of output from that is going to be like, ideally the content gets a lot of retention. So to use an analogy in books, right? Like it's important that we write books that get a high read-through rate. And you should be killing projects really, really early that aren't getting a high read-through rate. Like if you can't know in the first couple chapters that you're hooking someone, don't write the series, don't go forward with it. And we would do things like this all the time. We've thrown out multi-million-dollar videos at Beast. That's what would happen. Would never get published because one video that doesn't have the same retention as other ones has super negative algorithmic impacts. And the same thing happens in books too. Like the moment Amazon sees your profile as having like a less predictive weight of yielding to like a reader success or like reader payment, they're going to promote you less. You're going to be less sticky in the algorithm. But there's something that doesn't apply to Mr. Beast that we have to take as authors loose inspiration from, which is the reason why books I think tend to be harder to market is because they're high friction, right? Like you don't just pick up a book and start reading it the second you hear about it. Like that's a very rare behavior. Books go into the TBR and then the TBR like gets read eventually. And hopefully you make it out of the TBR. Part of like books being high friction is why we can charge a lot. Like, Mr. Beast off of a video that gets 100 million views, he's not making $100 million. He's not even making $10 million, right? I won't say exactly how much it is, but it's not even 8 figures. Meanwhile, if an author gets 100 million readers to read a book,
that'd be nice, wouldn't it, son?
Yeah, very, very few people have achieved in human history. But you would be making, 40 to 50 times what someone like Mr. Beast would. So part of it being high friction is that you can actually get more money. But the trick is then, how do you reach people? And that means you have to create something that's low friction. So what's funny is that nowadays, what drives most of the growth of the MrBeast channel is not his long form YouTube videos. Yes, there's lots of people watching them, but it's the YouTube shorts. That's where most subscriber growth comes from, right? So everything has shifted towards like low friction wins. So whether or not you decide to go create TikToks or Reels, or whether you create like Facebook ads, I mean, basically you have to have a low friction way to reach people with scale. And I think too oftentimes authors say like, my marketing didn't work. And it's like, you have no way that you're actually reaching people at scale. And you keep trying to do a bunch of little things that don't move the needle. And it's like, no. The MrBeast entire company is just built off of like 1 or 2 platforms and posting a few videos there. And it's one of the most viewed things on the planet. So you don't need to do a lot, but you need to really focus in on what you're doing and know that it can scale. And the trick is this: most things can't scale, but it's obvious when it can scale. And it's because it's low friction. We know the low friction content formats. They sometimes change, but it's short form video right now and images on Facebook ads. Like that's it.
So I'm going to kind of back up just a notch because I'm older than have struggled just with TikTok anyway. But virality, you talked a little bit about that. Like, I think that's something that is interesting. And I think authors are often, you see a lot of authors now who are trying to find their foothold in places like TikTok or Reels and things like that. And it sounds like you might be able to kind of guide them in a little bit of what they're looking for or how to get to that point.
I think virality is pretty intuitive because there's 2 aspects of virality. It's like, what does it mean from a numbers perspective? And then what does it mean culturally? And I think like from a numbers perspective, virality is just a video or a piece of content that gets a lot more views on average compared to content from that person. So like, let's say you create a TikTok and your average TikTok gets 300 views. And now your next TikTok gets 3,000 views. That is certainly viral. And when it comes to tricks for going viral, it's actually understanding other people's content, maybe other authors, and studying which videos of theirs have been outliers and why. And just like you would with your book covers and descriptions and even your book content, trying to adapt creatively from there.
Okay, so Author Sidekick has a newsletter and it talks about this kind of stuff. So we can sign up and get that for free. But presumably there's more to Author Sidekick than sending out a free newsletter. That doesn't sound like a great way of buying lunch.
No, I mean, that's what Author Sidekick does. Yeah. No. I have like these superpower cards you get.
Oh yeah. We're going to talk to you about that in just a minute because we're slightly annoyed with you because for 3 years our question for all of our guests is, what's your author superpower? And suddenly here you are like passing out superpower cards, and we're trying to figure out, hey, like,
with your virility.
Yes.
I have that, but no, I mean, most of my time is spent more in like the deep tech space, like behind the scenes. Like I build software mostly helping people go beyond books. So it's not necessarily part of Author Sidekick, but yeah, I run a company where we basically built a machine to turn books into movies automatically. So that's what I mostly do. Author Sidekick is just kind of like my fun way to learn, because my goal is not to like help people market their books. It's ultimately to understand storytelling so well that we can break open entirely new industries. It's like net grow the storyteller economy. Like that's what I wake up every day thinking about. Like it doesn't excite me to help one author sell more books, although if that's a happy side effect, that's great. I want to help this entire industry grow by 10x. And that's what I wake up thinking about.
That's great. Not ambitious or anything, but it's fantastic.
So tell us a little bit about this turning a book into a movie. Everybody's like, hey, let's give us a little bit more details about what it looks like.
It's deceptively simple because behind the scenes, there's a lot that happens. But as an author, we're going into beta this weekend. It's called Creatorwood, but you upload a book, right? It could be any one of your stories you've written. It could be a short story too. There's really no restrictions. And that book then we turn into automatically, it takes us about 4 to 5 minutes. We create characters, we create audio for those characters, like their voice profiles, objects, worlds. So you basically have, like, if you're a director of a movie, everything that you would use to make a movie. Here's my cast, here's my locations. And then you can edit those. Like if you want to change the image, you can just tell us what you want to change about it. And then we'll generate a new one of a new character, a new this, new that. Then we use all of that information to inform the storyboards. So each chapter in your story is broken up to an episode, and each episode has, anywhere from maybe 10 to as much as 100 shots. And those shots are storyboards. And then those storyboards we generate for you automatically. That takes a couple more minutes. And then you go through and you can decide, okay, do I want to like edit this storyboard because maybe I want to add a new character, or maybe I want to change how this looks, or I'm going to change the dialogue. And then when you're ready, you can actually press generate, and you can generate like one shot at a time or one storyboard at a time, or even run entire episodes or an entire movie, which, to be candid with you, like I don't recommend running an entire movie in one go when you're first trying out. Like that's absurd and expensive, but you pay as you go. So, to actually make the whole storyboard, it's like usually right, maybe around $40-$50 to go from like nothing to like full storyboards for your entire film, and maybe even potentially cheaper depending on the story. And then when you actually start generating video, that's where costs can add up. But you can generate like a full movie for roughly anywhere from like, I'll say $3,000 to $7,000, could be like a 90-minute movie. That's going to depend on, how many times you regenerate things, a little bit on length. But yeah, that's just video costs and all the video models that have like recently come out. So yeah, like we're getting to a point now where like you could pretty much make a movie in under a day. I want to like temper expectations, and that it's not going to be as like high production quality or as great as like the next Marvel movie, like not even close. But is it going to be good enough for viewers to watch? I think we've certainly crossed that threshold. And what we see now with things like Reel Shorts or Drama Box, if y'all are familiar, these are very, very popular apps, top 10 in the entertainment app store right now, downloads depending on the day, similar to TikTok. And these are like not high production quality stories, and yet still are engaging because of the story itself, which is kind of the whole thesis. Like storytellers of the world, stories should be able to become anything. And it's like really your raw story as a writer that matters. And with everything else, I'm not saying it's easy to do all the rest, but the hard part is having a great story. And I think with that already, some pretty magical things can happen in video. And undoubtedly, we're going to see like rapid improvements in this technology in the next 6-12 months. So we built the machine, then you can make money on the platform too. Like if you want to charge per movie, per episode, like Kindle, it's kind of like think about like your own mini Netflix. So yeah, that's what I spend most of my time doing. And then like, it's weird. Like I didn't expect to be doing that as of like even like 60 days ago, but I've been kind of always searching for like, what's the next big thing that can really help bring storytelling forward? And I think this might be it. And even if it's not, I'm having so much fun. So
as long as you enjoy it, that's absolutely. So it sounds interesting. Yeah.
Amazing. So obviously it's AI driven. And so your book goes in and the AI engine pulls out the story elements and the characters and says, so this is how they described them. So they kind of look like this. And then is there a human interaction that can happen? So do you then?
Every part of the process. Think of it like we take your story, which could be a first draft or final draft story. We create the first draft of your characters, you create the first draft of your storyboard, and the first draft of the movie itself. But at every step of the process, you can go, what do I want to change about this? Right? Because you're the director. That's how I kind of view it. So yes, full control. And that's another note on AI as well, which is that I've been in the community for a long time. Before Author Sidekick, I built another software company for authors. And I think AI is interesting because there's a lot of talk about it in the community and lots of feelings that I like.
You think?
Feelings.
Completely empathize with. And I honestly never saw AI as personally exciting for me to work on in the sort of context of like helping authors until I saw that it could help authors become more than authors. Like we can now break into new industries. But with that said, like I could talk for hours on it and we won't do it right now because there's no reason for it. But I completely have like 100% empathy for someone who goes, Creatorwood is not something I want to use because we use AI. Like 100%. Like I get it. I support it. And I support like your morals. And I think there's a lot of folks that Creatorwood will be a really great thing for. And a lot of viewers it'll be a really great thing for. And for folks who it's not great for, like that's why I have Author Sidekick.
So the output at the end, if you go ahead and make an episode or a movie, the look, is it photorealistic the way it comes out? Is it animated? Is it anything you choose?
Yeah, you can choose. Exactly. Choose like
this is kid in a candy store, man. Kid in a candy store.
It's a fun one. You could choose like iPhone style if you wanted to, like to make it look like a home video. Your imagination is somewhat the limit here.
You have your own books. Have you put your books through? You have a movie out now yet? Or have y'all done some at this point?
I'm doing my movie like this weekend, and then we're launching it to like everyone. I'm like to start to use like on a beta list. So yeah, I've been playing around with mine now, and it's pretty cool. And even like separately have been reason why we built this is because our original goal was not to build this. It was just to like build the business around it. So like think like, oh, people are making AI movies now. Since this is possible, people need a place to upload them and make money from them. But then through the process, like we learned how hard it was to use, about the specific tools. Like if you go to VO or Kling directly or Midjourney, it takes so long to make a movie, like hundreds of hours, because it's all these shots. So we built this system to like streamline it. So it's been like a very collaborative process with the community. Like we'll see where it goes from here. I think we're all figuring out how to approach this and what this even is.
For this software that you got, what would you consider to be the most challenging aspect of getting started with it?
Honestly, I think the most challenging aspect is planning out, like when you just upload, it's actually pretty easy. You want to probably start with like a specific book in mind that you think will do well. So I think that's like the first thing is like, I mean, you can just like create a movie for fun, but it's not exactly like a nominal amount of money. So thinking about it as like a business expense, like first question is like, what story that I've written has the most chance of success, right? So if you've already written a story and you only have one story out, I think that's pretty easy. You just have one book. But for folks like y'all who have like huge catalogs and lots of titles, that might be something I go, maybe ask readers, like maybe I look at my sales history, right? And try and intuit that way. I think the second hard part about it is the sort of balance between control, but then understanding that the system's not deterministic. So like, what I mean by that is you have your storyboards, right? And these storyboards, you have a lot of control over. Like we generate drafts of them, but you can change what the character looks like. You can change locations. You can change everything about the process. But generative AI in particular, just the nature of the technology, and if anyone's even played with chat, you understand this. You give it the same question twice, and it's going to give you a different answer, right? So part of that is it's like the storyboard. It's not like I can't tell you like, okay, you go put in this storyboard and you're going to get this output, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, does it hallucinate too? Is the other, yeah.
And certainly that's part of it in the early days too, where there's more of that happening. And we're in the early days in AI video. But I'd say like the toughest part is to like understand where the creative vision of the model, if you can call it that, like what the model comes up with randomly, when you accept that and go like, actually, this is what I was thinking about, but this is good. And then flip side, when you're like, yeah, I wasn't thinking that, and this also isn't good. Like I need to change this, right? Like that is actually tricky. It's a taste question. So it's not a technical one, but it's challenging. It's a challenging creative problem. I think it'll be fun for some people. It might be intimidating for others. But I think that's where like how great use of this tool is going to come in, where people understand, okay, like what is my like sort of, it's almost like you're managing a team. Like you can't control your team, or like you shouldn't try and control your team one-to-one. So like, where do you accept the ideas of your teammates? And then where do you go, cool, but we're doing this my way, right? Like as a leader, when do you come in and do that? It's almost like having a co-author, except the co-author is like an army of like film folks.
I presume the same way when you're writing a book and you want to make a career of writing books, and you've talked about and you help with your Author Sidekick stuff, you need to have a marketplace. You need to know what your audience is, what your genre is, and who's going to buy that book. If you're looking at doing a movie or episodes, you need to know what the outlet is going to be and who is going to watch this, right? Who are you pushing this towards?
1,000,000%. And I think there's a way to de-risk the process before we get into it, which I really recommend in early days, because I want to be like extremely clear about like one thing, which is right now the space is super early. And I think it's definitive that there's an opportunity in this space and in the future, whether it's involved with Creatorwood or something else. Like there's something here and it's exciting to me. There's two like important points to that. We don't know how exactly it's going to look, right? And which is up to the individual creator also intuit that, which I'll give advice on that. But my second point, which is the first point, maybe a more important warning, is that there's also timing where you can be too early. So, as a platform, I think us being in this space and what we're building, I think we've timed what we're doing well in terms of entering the space. But as an individual storyteller, when do you decide to enter this market? It is super duper early right now. And like, I'm not trying to discourage people from using it, but I also kind of am trying to really make sure that you understand that like you are early. So for some folks, that's exciting. But the reality is, you ask me like, who's making real money doing this yet? It's like at the time of recording, it's barely even possible. It's like just becoming possible in the next couple of weeks. And it's going to take months, I think, to start to see real success stories. Now, where do those first success stories come? Is it going to be fantasy? Is it going to be specifically something like epic fantasy or urban fantasy? Are we going to see sci-fi take off? Is it going to be thrillers? Is it going to be romance? Is it going to be fantasy romance? Who knows? But there's a way to de-risk this, right? Because if you're someone like me who just is take the business out of it, you're just excited about turning your story into movies. And hell, if this was free, I'd tell you all, go for it. There's so much cost involved in the models behind the scenes and our own compute costs. It's a lot. So given the expense, it's like, how can you de-risk this so that before you go and spend money on Creatorwood, that money's not coming out of your pocket? And we're not doing any creative math here, taking profit from one series and bringing it to another. I'm literally saying, how can you pre-order this potential film and what you're doing to your readers? That seems like a way to de-risk this. So that's where you could go to maybe Kickstarter, right? You could think about maybe selling direct in your site. If you're Shopify, PayHip, whatever, you have their emails, you could give them access to it later and just start to fund some of the development up front. Even if it's $400 or $500, it's going to go a long way in terms of maybe getting a pilot out. So we're not talking about an astronomical amount of money, but we're talking about an amount of money that can really, really hurt if it doesn't come back. So I think, one, de-risk the process, and two, I'm really trying to educate people on how to market this and learn in real time what this market is. So like, and especially in the early days, I'm happy to jump on calls with people and literally just like, let's plan out your marketing plan, not like paid coaching, nothing like that. Like, let's just figure this out. And then down the line, I will be sharing success stories and you'll learn from there. So it's kind of the thing of like, when it comes to like, okay, now that I've sold to my existing readers, how do I reach net new viewers of this film? How do I grow my audience? That's the ultimate question. I want to help you answer it. I can give you a bunch of ideas, but my ideas are going to be very similar to the author marketing ideas I give, because fundamentally reaching viewers and readers, and I've learned this through my experience in Mr. Beast, isn't all that different, but the specific tactics, the really good stuff, I don't have specific case studies for it. So I'd rather just open up anyone to reach out to me. I'm happy to jump on a call with you and figure out the plan. And you're also welcome to get off the call and be like, this plan doesn't seem like it'll work for me. I don't think we came to a conclusion. That's fine. And then once I start learning real success stories, I will share them with the whole world, because I think just like in anything, we all deserve to know. It's like Kindle before the Kindle right now is where we're at.
Man, it is exciting. And it's your energy is exciting in itself, Michael, honestly.
I think you made Nick tired.
I'm like, my mind is racing right now. Like, I mean, how can you utilize this, and where will it be at the end of the day? And you're right, it's so early, right? So we'll have to get you back on at a later date when you're further down the road and with it and share some more. So, but right now, can you tell us where our listeners can find Creatorwood and Author Sidekick?
Yeah, Creatorwood right now, I'd go to make.creatorwood.tv. That's like our author/storyteller facing landing page. On the viewer side, we're going to be building out more once we get early content that shows well. And as a platform too, we're going to be doing a lot of our own marketing. I know a lot of people say the platform will do their own marketing, but if we don't do this ourselves, like this is a whole new market. So we have to do that too. The next thing is, Author Sidekick, just authorsidekick.com. Absolutely no pressure to join my mailing list, but if you do, you'll hopefully get useful things, and you get the free 50 superpowers, which they're illustrated as well. So hopefully they'll help.
Well, thank you so much, Michael, for joining us. And like you said, we'll put the link in the show notes, as well as any of the author stuff that we have. That'd be awesome. Continue to support the show on Patreon at patreon.com/The2Authors Podcast. Your kindness helps us cover the cost of bringing the show. And a big thanks again to our friends over at Vellum for the support. And we'll be back next week with a new episode of the Two Authors Podcast.
Until next time, be cool to each other.
Fair winds and falling seas.
You've been listening to the Two Authors Podcast with Nicholas Harvey and Douglas Pratt. Subscribe on your favorite platform for new shows coming every week.